Hi, I'm talking to you about the cop26 in Glasgow, and I just wanted to give you a very important point. I was very pleased when I've read that the Secretary General of the United Nations, Gutierrez, have just launched the idea, establish a group of experts to propose clear standards to measure and analyze net zero commitment from no-state actors. And that is exactly the paper that I have written a few months ago regarding a new kind of taxation for CO2. The first things and the most important things, and that I welcome, what Gutierrez says is that ISO, an international standard body that already exists and the United Nations has created, is so important to measure the CO2. We need to measure the CO2 before to starting about the countermeasure to reduce CO2. So every single product needs to be measured is a CO2 to be produced, to be exist, and then to be recycled. If we do that, everything started to have a different light. Because first measure, as soon as you measure how much CO2 a product, for example a pen, has produced to exist, then you can ask to the partner, to the private sector that have created that pen to act in the way to reduce that CO2, but immediately to mitigate what he has done, to plant new trees, to invest in a way how to capture CO2. Then, of course, you can ask to implement the way how to go to net zero CO2. And then, finally, how to capture also the other CO2 that exists in the atmosphere. So if we start to measure, we start to really analyze the fact that any products, and that is very important for the private sector, for the industry, any product needs to have a different new concept. Technology is there, is available, but need to have a new concept. We need to put inside not only the measurement, but all of the life. Because this can have been produced with a certain CO2, but for example, it lives forever. So the only way is to mitigate the way how, if that is acceptable, the CO2 that has produced, and to mitigate that production. But because it's going to produce that CO2 once, we can even consider to be acceptable, and then only to mitigate the effect. The important thing is also the life cycle of the products. We are living in a society that produces too much stuff for no reason, and that we change too much stuff for no reason. Instead to have a proper old-fashioned suit that lives forever, we change that suit every single month, all season at least. And we have produced so much waste that it goes in the ocean, it goes everywhere, and it poison ourselves. Technology is there. We need to increase the life of the products, and we need to measure the CO2 that the products produce in all its whole life, so that we can start to act to reduce and to mitigate the CO2 and to improve our life. The IEC standard have started to create standard to promote the measurement. There is already ISO standard to measure. So international standard is a very important element, and thanks to Gutierrez for saying that he wants this committee. You need to open the committee, of course, to the already existing body, that international standard, and all the private sector. We are very pleased that he has got this intuition. Standards is a fundamental for the COP26. Standard is fundamental to save the planet, together for our planet. Thank you.